So how did you end out in Fishkill?
I went to work for when I got out of the service, I went to work for the Consolidated Edison Company in New York City. And part of my first assignment was to the Indian Point Nuclear Power Plant, which is just south of Fishkill. It's on the Hudson River, just a little south of West Point, which is on the west shore of the Hudson. And since I wanted to be close to where I was working, I moved to Fishkill and found a home there, I think in the 80s, early 80s. And I've been living there all my life, and I've since retired from Con Edison.
But you're still a member of the East
drives
Front
in.
Association. You
Oh,
come
yeah.
back and forth.
Oh, that's all part of the thing.
That is
that they
so
keep
wonderful.
That connection was so strong, isn't it amazing?
That is so wonderful. It's a childhood connection that just.
But if
stays
there wasn't
with you.
something there, it probably wouldn't have happened. But the fact that the people are interested in the community, and I have people that I know there all my life, is an important thing.
So is it true, like there's no place like home?
Yes, I still call my house home. That's my home. Anybody ask me, where's your home? It's at River Street in Schenectady.
And you do know that he went through a very difficult time because River Street was flooded
Yes.
last year. So you're involved with storm aid,
Right.
to such a degree, and he suffered. Well, many did, but
Definitely.
Marty's lower end of that street where his house was devastated.
Is it all back to normal now?
Yes,
Pretty
it's all
much.
back to normal, and what's interesting about it is that my whole life, I'm 70 years old, that I've either lived there or owned the home, and visited quite frequently. My parents were still alive, my grandparents were still alive. It never flooded, and in 2011 it finally got into the first floor apartment. It flooded in the basements occasionally, but in 2011 it managed to get into the first floor, which was rather devastating. All the mud and stuff, it was a chore to bring it back. But I've got it back, and I want to keep it going. And
a little side note to that is one of our other members was his tenant in that apartment, and she was uprooted for many months, and then she's
back there.
Yes, but that was terribly disruptive. So in
Sure,
our association we had. She had to go with family, and he was struggling to get his place back in order and worked very, very hard to do so. So
we got
it
it
was
back
sad to see.
Just before Christmas. She moved back in.
Wonderful. Well, I founded Storm Aid in October of 2011 to help victims and survivors get back in their homes, and we've been hearing horror stories between insurance problems and FEMA and just people not having any of their own funds to help. So Storm Aid and a lot of other volunteer organizations have played a big part in the recovery, which is being celebrated right now in our area because it's a year.
I had no problems. I did not have insurance, though. I had to fund this from my own account.
You did.
And but I'm happy to have done it.
Yeah.
That attraction to a place to call home is important to me.
It
Enough
is.
to make the investment. I think I can make it pay by the people that are renting. And
Sure.
quite frankly, the area is really, to me, beautiful. It's next to the stockade. It's next to the river. And now I see that the city is developing back into that area. I think there'll be more people that eventually want to live in the East Fishkill area or in that, someplace nearby.
Yeah.
And we have close ties with the city, the downtown, also the Italian section, and we have, of course, Italians and the Polish people were living in the neighborhood when I was there, and we still,
And you
they're
still
still
are.
there. They're still there.
Now, may I ask you, are you Polish?
Yes.
So because I couldn't tell by your last name,
Yes,
and it was
it
probably
was changed.
shortened.
It was changed during the Second World War. My father told me the story that he was working on a project at the General Electric Company where his brother was working, and when the FBI did some investigating, because it was a war project, they found out that there were a lot of different spellings of the name. So the family got together and made the spelling B-Y-S-T-E-R.
So what was it originally?
My grandfather, on his, I forgot the registration for the First World War, spelled it Bystryk, B-Y-S-T-R-Y-K.
Oh, is it? And
And
are
he
there
was-
any of those in this area with that spelling that you know of?
Not that I know of. I've looked on years ago on the internet. I think there are other Bystryks. He was
Bystryk.
from my family. On my father's side was from the Austrian part of Poland at the time when they emigrated to the United States.
Yes. Well, we're so glad to have you here today, and that you've continued nourishing your roots,
Mhm.
because that's so important to so many people, you know, to have a place called home.
Right.
Yeah. I want to ask Chris, did we show what you wanted to show
No.
here for your event?
As we had said, our event is food, music, and the little side things will be the Chinese auction and the 50-50 raffle. But we have gathered, I just brought a couple of things to show you that will be on the table for the Chinese auction in case you'd want to purchase a ticket and pop it in for the drawing. This beautiful, beautiful Afghan is one of the items that if you were the lucky winner, you could capture this for $1. You know, this is really beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
For $1. You know, the tickets are going to be $1, and an armful will be $5. So that's how we're doing that. And then you just drop it in the little cup by the item. So this is one beautiful item we wanted to show you. And then I have these lovely brass candlesticks as well, that candlestick holders that easy to carry, so I brought those over to show you. And as I said, we have the free tickets from the bowling, from the Boulevard Bowl, and the gift certificate. Once again, I mentioned the gift certificate for Moret's Steakhouse, the wonderful food over there, and so they've been generous with us. And we'll have many other things, so we want people to venture forth and take advantage of that.
Now, your meetings, you used to have them at Moret's?
We started during my time, we started at Boulevard Bowl. Then we moved over to Moret's for a short while. And now we're down at the end of Front Street, close in the corner of Knott and Front, in the building owned by the Legiers.
Yeah.
And that is the Ellis, the sign out front says Ellis Campus, Ellis Hospital Bellinger Campus. And that's where we have a little meeting room. And we've just started doing that. We've had 2 meetings there.
How's that working?
Yeah, that should be working out fine. And by the way, for our event, the Legiers have offered that huge parking lot if people would like to park at the end there and then just walk up Front Street.
Well, I'm glad you
which would be
mentioned
nice
that.
and out of the way.
Definitely. How did you happen to choose September 8th? Was there any particular reason, knowing that all these other events are going on in the area, so people can really make the rounds that day?
That would be the reason, you know,
That you've
because
chosen.
people are already out.
Already out.
Being that it's a PolkaFest, we don't feel it's a competition for somebody who wants pizza, or did you
Right.
enjoy the Italian fest, or the Greek festival with its baklava.
Right.
You come to us and have Texas Longhorn
Right,
barbecue.
not Polish food.
No, we're not. We're just not. That isn't the way it worked out when we looked
Right.
into the caterers, and Marianne did a good job of that. She came up with somebody who was very good and available. You have to get somebody who's available and
of course.
willing to work with you, and it's just for the party. It's a block party,
Yes.
and we happen to have one of the greatest bands,
Oh, that's
and
so
their
wonderful.
concentration is on polka music.
And maybe this will be the first of many events.
Hope so.
Do you envision doing this maybe next year, Marty?
If we have enough people that are interested, certainly.
Sure.
It'd be nice to do that again. It's up to the East Front Street Association. They did really
Right.
most of the work. The 8th, the band had to be available. That was the date that it was available on
Well,
too.
that-
So
yeah,
it worked
that
out.
fit in, yeah.
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 But we have to have good weather,
Yes, and we've been
That's
pretty
the thing.
lucky
Yep.
this
Yeah.
year.
so we're hoping
We
for that.
really have. I hope
There'll be a tent.
everything goes
I
good.
understand.
Well,
Just in
yes,
case, you have to
yeah.
have a backup plan.
Yeah. Well, that'll be there, you know.
Good.
Thanks for you looking into that and taking care of that for us.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yes.
understand, a lot of what's going on that day is through people and their generosity. And
Isn't that-
donating of goods and
Yes.
time. And there's gonna be quite a bit. We'll be setting up the Friday before, and then it's all going to happen. We're looking so forward to it. We wanted to get this taken care of.
Now, Chris, what is your besides being spokesperson for today, what is your position in this party? Are you a part of just one of many organizers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there aren't many organizers. There are
Okay.
just,
2 or
just
3?
a few. But
Yeah.
I've been in the catering business for years, and thank gosh
Right.
we don't have to do cooking.
Well, that's where we
Thank
met.
goodness,
We met
yeah.
at the Ramada Inn, didn't
Oh,
we?
that's right.
Long time
Talking
ago.
about organizing and putting on
Right.
events. But I'm getting a lot of the furniture and stuff I'm getting from my son's business, and he has tables and chairs, and you know we're envisioned. The vision is there, and then how we can facilitate the vision is what
Right.
we're coming up with the plan,
Right.
and just going out there and promoting it. And so I'm into the public eye.
Yes,
a lot.
you are a promoter. And I'm so glad that you filled our first segment with such good information here. And I think we'll take a short break, and then we'll introduce the rest of the group here.
Thank you.
How's that sound?
Excellent.
One more time! Let's get it out! Hey! Holiday Poland.
Well, we're starting back again. We have another addition to our group here promoting the PolkaPalooza event on September the 8th down in the East Front Street area. We have Donnie P here. And Donnie P is the band that's going to be playing at the event. So hi, Donnie.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm glad you could be here today. And you're sitting next to your childhood friend here, Marty.
That's right. Marty and I go back too many years. Although we stopped counting after we both hit age 40. But Marty and I actually went to grade school together. Went up to St. Mary's Parochial School. Actually, a lot of the Polish families from in this area here sent their children up to St. Mary's. So,
And when did that close? Do you have any idea approximately?
Probably 30 years ago now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
1980 or something.
Uh-huh.
But Marty and I actually started playing a little music together when we were probably in 6th and 7th grade. Then after St. Mary's, we both went our separate ways. And I happened to meet Marty. He was one of the lectors in St. Mary's Church one day, probably maybe 14 years later. And I said to Marty after church, I went up and shook his hand. I said, "How you been?" "Good." I said, "How'd you like to start a polka band?" He says, "That sounds good."
Now, what year is this?
Oh,
70s.
Yeah.
I got out of the service in 72, and I was in the church when Don and his family came in, and he stepped behind. After we finished the mass was over, Don came in to the sacristy, the back of the altar, and posed that question. I says, "Oh, that sounds great, right? Exactly what I would want to do anyway."
And we've been playing music ever since.
Now,
And-
you play a couple of instruments,
I play the accordion and play the keyboard.
okay?
And of course, Marty plays the clarinet and the saxophone. And
And then you have 2 other members.
we have 2 other members in the band. Greg Russo is our drummer, who actually lives here also in the area, in the
Okay.
East Front Street area, right on River Street. And we have a trumpet player by the name of Steve Semerad, who lives up in Rotterdam. Steve's been with us also for several years.
Now, there's going to be a picture on the screen that will show your group,
Yeah.
so everybody can see. I'm not sure when that was taken.
About 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. In fact, that picture was used as an album cover for our latest CD. We've recorded 3 albums now over the years.
Wow.